To remind you, this was happening yesterday. So this is a pretty good example of what might be happening in just one day. So you can imagine if you are doing this thing in the next 20 years, I think you're going to be pretty good. Let's get around here and then analyze it, all of us. So if you remember, story was about Snow White, seven dwarfs. First of all, it was not clear enough what is going on here. Very choppy, kind of. The angles, everything was really flat. The movement was in the wrong direction because they want to go into this direction, and then we end up here, and the dwarfs are here. If you reverse this one, if you put the witch at the end of the story, it means it ends. So she is the point in which they communicate. So you have the first one, you have the last one, and then the entire story is rounded. So if you remember, we are talking about how to change the angles. If you change this angle like this one, if you flip this guy who is actually pissed off, he is the leader of the revolution and the main rebellious guy. So he's already there and he does not want to communicate. So if I communicate with you, I'm going to do it frontal, am I right? If I don't want to communicate with you, this is going to be my way of showing. So, but body language, the basic body language thing. So I'm communicating with you, I don't want to communicate with you, I just turn around and show you my back. So we don't see each other, communication break. Even in the first one. So in the first one, we are talking about at least one establishing shot. In the first one, you have a shot that explains almost everything. Explains the story, explains why is she pissed off. She's pointing towards the cauldron, so there's no food. You guys are not working good enough. You're not providing money or whatever is there. The entire house is, she's drinking. We can see the apples over there. We can see the window that is broken. Home sweet home is not like straight like this. It's like leaned. It means it's not very tidy. And then there is a reason why he wants to rebel. So this is the one. I like this shot because this shot is just a silhouette, am I right? So we don't see her face, but we know what could be happening. So they are all enraged. They're also, uprising over there with the brooms and everything they are holding in hands. But because of this bow over there and the color, we know who the person is. So you don't even have to make a facial expression, because her facial expression at the first panel is good enough for us to remember that she is probably going into the conflict. And then the house is just shaking like this. So I do like this rotation now with the moon, because in this one he's like, so this is the side story. So the moon is there, and moon is just very content, sleeping, very happy, and then suddenly when the house is shaking, the moon is rotated, and then the moon says, oh, what's going on? Yeah. So this amplifies the story, this tiny little thing. So we can say that if you want to build up the story even more, so we can have, let's say, the tree over there with tiny birds, and then this one, the birds are just going to, like this, because there's a sudden sound of conflict and stuff like that. So, or something else, it doesn't matter. It's just the first thing that comes to my mind. So they are rebelling over there. We don't see what is going on, so there is no morbid kind of situation. So those are just the silhouettes that are doing something, but good enough for us to understand what is going on. And then first thing in the morning, we can see the birds, the rabbit, everything is really beautiful, nice. We can see this crazy coffin, and then they are returning the Snow White. Very sweet. This one is also good for one reason. So there is a beautiful flow, there is a beautiful connection. Angling is pretty good, so I like the angles. The thing is, we have, and this is a fortunate thing, we have 3 establishing shots. So instead of 1, we have to emphasize the story, because there's a lot of them. So you have 7 dwarfs and 1 extra character. So you need to go, whether you like it or not, you need to go with the wide shot. So you can't just go. So this is the only one that is actually the close shot. So in this one, there is a beautiful establishing 1 and 2 and 3. So we have 3 establishing shots. So try to remember this, because more you put it inside, if it's of course meaningful, the explanation of the story will be better. And then the last one. As I told Ricky when I saw this one, if you do have this shot and you don't show it as a whole, so I don't really know what this might be. So this is the trick with the crop. This is the trick with the composition. If I have only just tiny little crop of her, we don't know what is going on. So if you go a little bit, you know, wider, we know. But you need to explain what is this in order to crop it. Otherwise, no one on earth is going to understand what is going on. So if you do have some peculiar object, don't let it crop from, you know, some angles, because I can relate to that as a branch. You might want to imply that this is some kind of crazy weapon or whatever you want to put in terms of story. First thing, if you do have something weird, as the corn that is going inside of the Colosseum, first we need to see the corn. There was a tiny little, on the left there was a tiny little shot with the corn, so we can understand it. Otherwise, it's just weird object that could be very ambiguous, but not in a good way ambiguous. It's just ambiguous that I cannot relate to anything. In the movie over there, each and every shot was pretty clear, so there was nothing that was ambiguous. So whatever you see, the mirror, the window, the chair, the room, the angling, everything was pretty clear. Establishing shots, we can count it over there. Almost like 80% of the movie is a close shot. On his head because of his condition, on her head because of her condition, the bird, the dog, but very few establishing shots. But the one that kept coming on and on and on was the bridge. And a beautiful metaphor. People are crossing the bridges. People are moving from one side to the other side. So it's not improvised in terms of metaphor. So it's not there. Why not just having the street? Why have this river? And then he's fishing in the river, trying to catch something, trying to be involved with the person of his life. So there's a lot of tiny little, very smart things over there that are actually implying that there is a gap. You need to bridge the gap, so there is a bridge. There is a bridge between the reality, which is in the building. On the other side is the cinema, which is the something from the imagination, something that we want to see, the Moana, and we are not going to connect it with reality. We want to be inspired by the imagination. So the entire movie was playing with the opposite. This was also the opposite of a story. You have the balloons that go up. She's playing with the balloons. You have the fish or the hook that goes down. So going up and down. So many things over there in the story that are super smart, and it's very hard. I can't do it either. So it's very simple, but this kind of simplicity, you really have to be, you know, really determined to have a story. And I'm 100% sure that this story was not finished in a year or something. So it needs a lot of time to, you know, to boil with the ideas. And we usually discard a lot of ideas. You know it from advertising. Kill it immediately. When you kill it, you move on with something else. You forget and say, no, this is too complicated. Let's focus on this one. At the beginning, you are confused because you have so many options. Am I right? So I can go in this direction or this direction. It might be a corn. It might be the Segway. It might be Sparta. It might be, you know, like the corn dog, and then I have a dog, and then the dog is having this, and then so many different levels. So where to go? So as you are going, you are refining and making it a little bit, you know, like more packed with the meaning and more connect. Okay, how to do this thing? So it's going to be your experience by watching. So I watch the movies and then I analyze it all the time. I read the comics, and then when I read one fantastic American comics. I will show you. And this guy was just like, I read the entire story in a couple of days. I couldn't just leave it. It's so exciting. And then I was analyzing why I like it so much. You know, like when I finished the book, when I detached emotionally, and then there's a story about everyday life in America, but the rendering was so cold and cruel, and so it's like 100% 21st century Trump America. So there's no way that, so there's so many implications from daily life to the politics, and that's why it was so successful. I will show you later. So Ricky, very good job on this one. Very nice, very smart in way of challenging yourself. So just see the difference between these things, So this one is completely choppy. Now it looks like, you know, like ridiculous. It looks like the pack of stickers that are just randomly placed with no connection. This one is something that I want to see by the end of the major project. So this is good enough for me. I don't want to see anything more than this. So if I want to direct the movie, I have it. So I just pin it on the wall and then go and like work with designers and the producer how to get this thing done. Whether we are going to go with the camera up and down, a little bit on the left, a little bit, it doesn't matter. What matters is I have a structure immediately. So I do have the bones. Now I'm going to put the muscles. That I have the skeleton of the story. If the skeleton is good, then it's not going to be a freak. It's just going to be a beautiful, solid, muscular guy. That's the thing. So let's see a little bit more. So we have one more revision of here, and we are going